How about this for perspective? Over 1 million physical documents and petabytes of digital data have been collected since October 7th, all tied to a single day of violence.
That's staggering, and it's just one part of today's stories.
Welcome to DeActa Daily Digest. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Juniper. Here are today's top stories.
First, we'll explore a new exhibit in Israel that's showcasing artifacts and intelligence from the October 7th Hamas attacks. It's a deep dive into the planning and aftermath of that day.
Then we'll shift to San Diego, where a man has been accused of running a fake charity to funnel money to Hamas. It's a story of deception and terror financing.
Finally, we'll lighten things up with the 2026 NBA Draft and how betting markets are influencing the projected top 10 picks. Let's get started with the exhibit in Israel.
This exhibit is being hosted by the Intelligence Heritage and Commemoration Center, or IICC. It's run by former officers from Israel's intelligence agencies, which already tells you it's going to be incredibly detailed and intense. So what's the focus?
The focus is on the October 7th Hamas attacks. The exhibit showcases items seized during the assault, including belongings of Yahya Sinwar, who is the leader of Hamas in Gaza. They've got his handwritten invasion plans, clothing like his vest and shoes, and a special edition of the Quran that Hamas labeled with an Al-Aqsa flood theme.
That's such a stark image. Sinwar's personal belongings right there for people to see. But it's not just about the physical artifacts, is it?
No, it's much more than that. The IICC has also collected and analyzed an enormous amount of intelligence. Since the attack, Israeli intelligence agencies have provided them with over 1 million physical Hamas documents and petabytes of digital data. They're using all of this to understand Hamas's planning, tactics, and even their recruitment strategies.
And what have they uncovered so far?
Well, one example is their detailed findings on Hamas's recruitment and training programs. They've got records of training sessions, including shooting range scores and notes on religious indoctrination. They also found an August 2022 directive from Sinwar tied to something called the Walls of Jericho plan, which was part of the operation's larger strategy.
It's chilling how methodical this all is. But what about the physical items on display? What else is being shown?
They've got weapons used in the attack, and these aren't just locally made. Some were traced back to Iran, Russia, North Korea, China, and even Egypt. They've also got vehicles used in the assault, including motorcycles and trucks. Visitors can even walk through a dimly lit tunnel to see damaged vehicles from the Supernova Music Festival attack.
That sounds incredibly immersive. But it's not just about the attackers, right? They've also highlighted the victims.
Yes, and this part is particularly poignant. There's a corridor lined with portraits of the 1,224 people killed on October 7th. They've also included videos documenting different aspects of the invasion, like hostage-taking and the work of first responders. It's a deeply emotional tribute.
It sounds like an exhibit that's equal parts commemoration and education. But I noticed they're not diving into Israel's own response or any operational failures. Why is that?
That's a deliberate choice. The exhibit focuses almost entirely on Hamas, its planning, tactics, and ideology. There's only a brief mention of former IDF chief Herzi Halevi accepting responsibility for military shortcomings, but they don't go into detail about what went wrong on Israel's side.
That's interesting. It's a very specific narrative they're trying to present. And who's the audience for this exhibit?
It's primarily for adults. Because of the graphic content, visitors have to be 18 or older. The materials are translated into multiple languages, and tours can be arranged in Hebrew, English, and even Spanish or French with advance notice.
It's heavy, but it sounds like an important effort to document and understand what happened. Let's move on to our second story, which also involves Hamas, but this time from a very different angle. Fundraising in San Diego.
Right. This is about Reda Mazen Rita Sabasi, a 38-year-old man who's been accused of raising money for Hamas under the guise of humanitarian aid. He allegedly ran a fake charity called Ikram, the Arab Charity Foundation Inc., along with social media accounts and crowdfunding pages.
How much money are we talking about here?
About $600,000. Prosecutors say he claimed the money was for humanitarian relief in Gaza, but instead he funneled it to Hamas. Of that total, $116,000 reportedly went directly to a Hamas member, and another $382,000 was converted into cryptocurrency and sent through an organization called Gaza Now, which is linked to Hamas.
It's shocking how easily these kinds of schemes can operate. Did he keep a low profile?
Not at all. Investigators say he publicly endorsed Hamas on social media. He even posted a video about the October 7th attacks on the second anniversary of the event. In private messages, he and a co-conspirator joked about naming a fundraising drive after Hamas's military wing.
That's brazen. What kind of charges is he facing?
He's been charged with terrorism-related offenses, wire fraud, money laundering, sanctions evasion, and making false statements. Each of these charges carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison, so he's looking at some serious potential jail time.
And what's the Justice Department saying about all this?
They're emphasizing that these are allegations for now, and Sabassi is presumed innocent until proven guilty. But they're also highlighting how terror organizations exploit crises to raise money, often under the guise of humanitarian aid.
It's a sobering reminder of how complex and interconnected these issues are. Let's pivot to something a little lighter now, the NBA draft. What's the story there?
The 2026 NBA draft is coming up, and betting markets are playing a big role in shaping the projected top 10 picks. Right now, A.J. DeBonsa from BYU is the favorite to go first overall. He's followed by Darren Peterson from Kansas and Cameron Boozer from Duke.
DeBonsa wasn't always the favorite, was he?
No, he moved into the top spot after a strong tournament performance. Meanwhile, Peterson's odds have dropped because of concerns about cramping and questions about his motor, but he's still seen as a high-ceiling prospect.
And what about Boozer? He seems like a safe pick.
Definitely. He's considered one of the most NBA-ready players in the draft. He's got a polished, all-around game, but there are some questions about his athleticism and his relatively modest impact in the NCAA tournament.
It's always interesting to see how these projections shift. Are there any surprises in the mock draft?
A few. Caleb Wilson from UNC surged late in the process to become the favorite for the fourth pick. And then there's Ade Mara, a 7'3" center from Michigan, who's generating buzz for his size and potential.
Betting markets are such a unique lens through which to view the draft. They're not just about talent. They're about perception, hype, and sometimes even rumors.
Exactly. And as the draft approaches, these odds will likely shift again. It's a dynamic process that reflects not just the players' abilities, but also the narratives around them.
It's a fun way to wrap up today's episode. From geopolitics to basketball, we've covered a lot of ground. What's your takeaway?
For me, it's the complexity of the human stories behind these headlines, whether it's the victims and survivors of an attack, the people exploiting crises for personal gain, or young athletes chasing their dreams. What about you?
I'd say it's a reminder of how interconnected everything is. Events in one part of the world can ripple out in ways we don't always anticipate. And whether it's through exhibits, investigations, or even sports, there's always something to learn.